The man standing at the marble hotel counter didn't look like someone whose name sat atop half a dozen skyscrapers, but the quiet ache in his eyes told a deeper story. He had just been told, politely and firmly, that he did not belong there. And yet, in the corner of the lobby, a woman in a simple maid's uniform noticed something no one else did. And her single act of kindness would change everything. If this story touched your heart, like, share, and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us keep spreading hope. Elias Crowthorne had learned long ago that wealth could buy silence, speed, and comfort, but it could never buy truth. That was why he was standing there, hands resting lightly on the cold stone counter, wearing worn jeans and a brown leather jacket that had seen better days. No watch glimmered on his wrist. No entourage hovered behind him. To the hotel staff, he looked like just another man trying to stretch his luck too far. "I'm sorry, sir," the receptionist said, her voice smooth but distant, as if rehearsed. "All our rooms are fully booked. Perhaps you could try somewhere else nearby." Elias nodded slowly, absorbing the familiar sting. He wasn't angry. He rarely was. What he felt instead was something heavier, a quiet sadness mixed with curiosity. Would anyone see him if there was nothing to admire? Around them, the lobby of the Halverton Grand hummed with low conversations and polished footsteps. Crystal chandeliers glowed above, reflecting off marble floors. Well-dressed guests passed by without a glance. Elias thanked the receptionist and stepped aside, his shoulders slightly slumped, not from rejection, but from memory. Years ago, before the boardrooms and headlines, he had slept in his car, wondering if anyone would ever look past appearances. As he stood there, debating whether to leave or sit for a moment to gather himself, someone else noticed him. Her name was Maribel Holt. She was pushing a housekeeping cart along the edge of the lobby, her movements careful, practiced. Maribel had worked at the Halverton Grand for 6 years, long enough to learn which guests mattered and which ones didn't, at least in the eyes of others. But when she saw Elias, she didn't see a problem or an inconvenience. She saw loneliness. His eyes weren't darting around like someone trying to sneak in. They were tired, thoughtful, as if he carried questions heavier than his bag. Maribel slowed her cart, pretending to straighten a lamp nearby. She watched as the receptionist turned to the next guest without another word to Elias. That was when Maribel made a choice. "Excuse me, sir," she said gently, stepping forward. "Are you all right?" Elias looked surprised. Yes, thank you." She smiled, a small but genuine curve of warmth. "If you need a place to sit for a moment, there's a bench near the window. It's quieter there." "Thank you," he replied, meaning it more than she knew. He sat where she suggested, watching rain begin to trace slow lines down the tall glass windows. Maribel finished her task and returned, holding a cup. "I know we're not supposed to do this," she said softly, handing it to him, "but it's just tea. You look like you could use something warm." Elias stared at the cup, then at her. "You didn't have to." "I know," she said simply, "but kindness doesn't really need permission." Something in his chest loosened. They talked just a little, not about money or status, about the weather, about how cities can feel loud even when you're alone, about how sometimes being unseen hurts more than being rejected. Maribel didn't ask who he was. She didn't need to. What she didn't know was that Elias Crowthorne owned hotels grander than this one, that he had come here not for a room but for a reminder. He'd been questioning the direction of his company, whether success had quietly pushed humanity out the door, and now, sitting on a lobby bench with a paper cup of tea, he had his answer. Moments later, the hotel manager, Graham Whitlock, noticed Elias still seated there. "Sir," Graham said curtly, "guests who aren't staying here aren't allowed to linger." Before Elias could respond, Maribel stepped forward. "He's not causing any trouble," she said respectfully. "He's just resting." Graham frowned. "That's not your concern. Please return to your duties." Maribel hesitated, but didn't move. "He deserves dignity," she said quietly. The lobby fell silent. Elias stood. "It's all right," he said calmly. "I was just leaving." But as he walked toward the door, something in his expression had changed. Not bitterness, resolution. He paused, turned back, and looked at Maribel. "Thank you," he said. "You reminded me of something important today." She nodded, unsure why her eyes suddenly burned. Elias left the hotel unnoticed, just another man in a jacket walking into the rain, or so they thought. 2 weeks later, the Halberton Grand buzzed with nervous energy. Staff had been told an anonymous investor was visiting, someone considering a major acquisition. When the doors opened and Elias Crowthorne stepped inside, this time in a tailored suit, the room froze. Graham's face drained of color. The receptionist's hands trembled. Elias didn't head to the desk. He walked straight to Maribel, who stood stunned beside her cart. "Good morning," he said warmly. "May I have a word with you?" Later that day, the staff gathered. Elias addressed them calmly, without anger. "I came here once as a stranger," he said. "I was turned away politely, and that's fine. Rules exist. But kindness, that's a choice." He spoke of Maribel, of tea, of dignity. By the end of the week, policies changed. Training shifted. Maribel was offered a new role, guest relations, because, as Elias put it, she understands people. As for Elias, he didn't just acquire the hotel, he transformed it. And Maribel learned that sometimes the smallest kindness, offered without expectation, can reach further than wealth ever could, because doors may close, but hearts, when opened, can change everything.